What if I told you that your team's most powerful leader isn't even in the game? Not the top scorer, not the captain, not the one whose name gets called over the loudspeaker, but the person sitting just a few feet away, watching, studying, feeling every moment without stepping on the court, the field, the ice, or the mat. Because here's the truth most athletes don't want to hear. Leadership is not earned through minutes played. Influence is not reserved for starters, and impact is not measured by the box score. Welcome to the Mental Weight Room, where we train the brain just like you train your body. I'm your host and mental performance coach, Antoinette Datoc, and today we're diving into a topic that might just change how you see your role on a team and honestly, how you see your role in life. Because if you've ever felt overlooked, underutilized, or stuck behind someone else, this episode is for you. Let's start with something most athletes completely underestimate: the bench. The bench is the emotional heartbeat of the team. Think about it. When momentum shifts, when the game gets tight, when pressure builds, where does the emotional energy come from? It doesn't just live on the court or the field. It spreads, it transfers, it's contagious. And the bench is the thermostat, not the thermometer. The thermometer reads the temperature. The thermostat sets it. And here's what that means for you. Your energy, your body language, your reactions, your engagement doesn't just reflect the game. It influences it. You roll your eyes after a turnover, that spreads. You disengage when you're not playing, that spreads. But the opposite is also true. You stay locked in, you celebrate your teammates, you bring steady, composed energy. Now you're building something incredibly powerful. Trust, respect, social capital, because your teammates are watching. And when they know you're there for them, even when you're not getting what you want, that's leadership. That's credibility. And that's influence. Now let's flip the script, because while it might feel like you're out of the game, you actually have access to something your teammates that are playing don't: perspective. When you're in the game, everything is fast, reactive, emotional. When you're on the bench, you get the 360-degree view. You see patterns, you see tendencies, you see the cracks. That's data, that's information, that's strategy. And great bench leaders don't just see it, they communicate it. Not with long speeches, not with ego, but with short, timely, bite-sized input. Hey, back door's open. He can't go right. Stay patient, they're breaking. That's value, that's contribution, that's impact in real time. Now let's go where real teams are built: practice. Because if you want to understand your role, don't look at game minutes, look at practice intensity. Non-starters, you are the ultimate pressure test. You are the ones who make the starters better or comfortable, and those are two very different things. The best teams in the world have one thing in common: their practices are harder than their games. Why? Because someone is pushing the standard behind the scenes, and that someone is often you. But here's the catch: it requires a selfless mindset. You've got to be willing to play the villain, to run the opponent's plays perfectly, to expose weaknesses, to compete like your role depends on it, even when your name isn't called on game day. Because what happens in private shows up in public. When you push your teammate in practice, you show up in their confidence on game day. You show up in their performance. You show up in the win. Now let's talk about how elite bench leaders actually communicate. Because it's not just about what you say, it's how and when you say it. Great leaders from the bench are masters of subtlety. They understand nonverbal communication, eye contact, nods, claps, presence. Sometimes the most powerful message is, "I've got you." And then there's the quiet conversation, pulling a teammate aside, not to criticize, but to reset them. Hey, breathe, you're good, you've got this. Next play, stay with it. Simple, direct, grounding. And here's the key: consistency. Your message cannot change based on the scoreboard. If you're positive when you're winning but silent when you're losing, that's not leadership. That's convenience. Real leadership is steady. It's reliable, predictable in the best way, because your team needs something to anchor to, and that can be you. Now let's zoom out, because one day the game ends for all of us, and when it does, no one remembers how many minutes you averaged in one season, but they do remember who made them better, who showed up, who led when it wasn't easy. And that's your legacy. And here's what's powerful. Everything we just talked about, these are life skills. Leadership without recognition, influence without authority, discipline without immediate reward. These are the exact traits that build great coaches, great leaders, great professionals. So if you're in a season where you're not the star, good, because you're being trained for something bigger. I want to leave you with this. Where in your life are you sitting on the bench? Maybe it's in your sport. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's a role where you feel overlooked. Now ask yourself, am I acting like a thermometer or a thermostat? Am I waiting for influence or creating it? Because leadership is not a position, it's a decision. If this episode hit home for you, click like, drop a comment, share it with a teammate, and don't forget to subscribe or follow the Mental Weight Room podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn so you never miss a mental workout. This is Coach Antoinette signing off from the Mental Weight Room. And remember, keep training your brain like you train your body and keep pushing your limits.